I'm Minesh Baxi here, and I'm really excited to have my good friend MaryBeth Potrykus with me today. And I know one thing is that we all want to be great parents, but it's difficult sometimes. We have challenges, right? And today I want to share with you my friend's ideas on influencing children in different areas like values, career, money, etc. But before we get started there, let me ask MaryBeth to introduce herself. So, MaryBeth, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, MaryBeth Potrykus. I have my own business, Mama Bear Productions. I've been married for 31 years and I have a 29-year-old son and a 26-year-old daughter who is married and is pregnant and is due in June.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Very good. So, you're excited about this new baby coming into the life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I know in quite a few areas we have common beliefs and common values, and we see the changing times, and it's always a little bit of a challenge. So, what did you do to influence your children, share your values so they would pick up some of those?
Well, my kids were raised in the church, so we would go to church and just teaching them about being honest and ethical and hard workers. They saw that in my husband and I were both business owners, and but to be compassionate towards others too. So yeah, I see that in them now, and they're intelligent. We always encouraged education. And they would do really well in school. They did really well in school.
Very, really
And
well. So good, good
mhm.
to hear that. And I think the world was changing quite a bit during the time when you were taking care of them. I mean, the world is changing now too, but how did you combat the influence of things like, obviously TV is a problem, Hollywood can be a problem, media can be a problem, other people's opinions can be a problem. So what did you do to make sure that your children had the right influence that you believed in?
Well, they were both active in sports.
Mhm.
And in their more in older in their older years, so not babies, of course, but from like I don't know, 4 on up, they were always had some kind of sport. And so with working with the team, I think that really, it's not all about me. It's about working together with others and then having them being busy outside of school and to a degree, not constantly, they needed downtime, but to have that sport that they love doing, whatever it had may be in at that time in their life, help them to be around others who really like the sport, and they knew that they had to be healthy to be successful at their sport. So that didn't leave room for doing things that they shouldn't do, putting things into their body that they shouldn't.
Well,
So,
good
yeah.
point. And I think that's one of the challenges parents face as well. And I homeschooled my children because I wanted to protect the environment. If the
Hmm.
schools were similar to what I had grown up in, I would be perfectly fine, except the world changed quite a bit in between.
They
We
have.
didn't have any drug situations, dating situations, or any of that stuff in school. There was nothing going on. It was pretty much a taboo. But
Hmm.
obviously, that's not the case since then as well. So thanks for sharing that because I think that's important. My son has been involved in cross country track, and the influence of the coach and the team has been a big plus for him. And I think by
Good.
putting children in sports in a positive way is building
Hmm.
their character that they would otherwise not develop. So I totally agree with you on that. How about career? Did you give any guidance on career? Were you like, okay, you should do this, you should not do this, or something like that?
Well, we always encourage them to do what they would like. And my son, he really didn't know what he wanted to do after high school until his senior year. And that's when I saw him change dramatically. He became more confident. He felt good about himself. We told him, hey, you don't have to go to college. If college isn't for you, that's perfectly fine. But find something to further your education. So he found a trade school that he did really, really well at. Um, my daughter, on the other hand, her goal was always to play women's D1 hockey, and she did achieve that. So she got part of her college education at no cost, and she got to play a sport that she really loved, and she was very good at it. Um, but she admits now that she says, I don't think I would have gone to college. Um, she doesn't have a real good feeling about college. And that's not to discourage others, because, we still need those people who are doctors and lawyers and people who need to have that college degree to help us as human beings. But her major was with regards to computers. So that helps her what she does today. And shoot, that can help anyone really, because if you're not on a computer or are not familiar with it, um, you're in the dark. So, I really believe that that helped her. It helped her to get out of our community box, if you will, because we're in a small rural area. And so she got to see what life was like in other states. And she's traveled quite a bit since then. So both kids very different. And, it's adapting to them, seeing what their strengths are and asking them questions. What would they like to do? And supporting them in whatever they want to do as well.
Well, that's very important because I have a daughter and she turned 20 recently. So I cannot but ask you, how did you influence her decision to find the partner in life?
I didn't. Um, Hannah, my daughter, was not your typical college kid. Uh, I was taught the kids to eat well. We had balanced meals at home, but you can only control so much when they're out on their own. And so she hated salads, wouldn't eat them or anything. And she was heavily influenced with diet by her teammates because she's playing at a higher level. It's much more demanding because playing college hockey is a part-time job. On top of that, a full college schedule. Um, and oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I got off on that track. And what was your what was your question?
Well, my question was about influencing her to find her partner.
Oh, her mate. Okay. So she, we know God has a plan for all of us. And what happened was back in the eighth grade, her one cousin introduced her to her church, different than the one we were going to. And in the youth group, she met Alexandra and Abby, these two sisters. And she became really good friends with them. And I'm just so grateful for these girls, still friends with them. And fast forward to the summer after she graduated from college, she met their cousin, Chris. And she hadn't met Chris prior to that because Chris is 6 years older than her. And Hannah actually met her mother-in-law before she did her husband. So, spoiler alert there. So yes, they got married. And we love Chris. He's like a son to us. And so yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
And because what I find is it's hard to find the right spouse, and it's something which is a tough decision. Half the marriages end in divorce. So one of the areas that I talk to my daughter about a lot, and most people may not agree with me at all. In fact, most people will disagree with me on this, but I don't believe in dating until you're ready to get married, because that's typically the case. And I mean, typically that I think is not the case for most people. So anyway, so my daughter, I wanted her to make sure she had a little bit more of what I would call self-esteem, capability,
Hmm.
confidence, because what I find quite often is when you date based on the emotions and age without having enough confidence in yourself, you may not end up making choices which are the right choices. That's my opinion.
Oh,
And
I think you're spot on.
thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm protecting. My son, I have not been able to protect him much in that direction. So we'll talk about that some other time. But it's a challenge for me to learn and grow through this process. Because,
Well, and
like,
each of our children are different, right? Because we are all different human beings.
true,
So where my daughter is more outgoing, my son not so much.
sure.
You know. And of course, we always see things in our children that they don't see in themselves. So the relationship that my son has with his brother-in-law is more like a brother relationship. And he's older than my son by a couple years. And so he's been a great person to be around for my son to help him build his self-esteem and support him. And yeah, so they do things, they golf together and such. So they do things outside of, the him being with my daughter and them doing things together. So it's really, yeah, it's been great.
And he was quite influenced with church as well, I'm assuming, Chris.
He was what?
Quite influenced by church as well with Chris.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
His parents do not go on a regular basis, but his one aunt and uncle are very active in the church that they go to, and his uncle is an elder in the church. So, and that's the aunt and uncle whose daughters introduced Hannah to Chris. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Totally. So Alexandra and Abby are this uncle's children. Obviously, Chris is the cousin there. So sorry to go
Right.
into a tangent there as well, but you talked about girl getting married. Well, I have a girl as well. So and we are talking about parenting. We are all learning and growing in the process. I don't have all the answers,
Absolutely.
and obviously nobody does. But as
No.
I said, God has a plan, and as
Yep.
long as we are willing to listen and follow, I think we are going to be in good place from that perspective. How about money? Because an area that is obviously challenging for most people is money. 80% of people live paycheck to paycheck, right? So
hmm
in that way, what did you do, or did you take proactive steps to teach children about money?
Um, well, my son is really good about that, and actually my daughter as well. And I'm very grateful for that. We didn't live beyond our means. We pay cash for things and instead of, charging everything, or paying it off and to save. And yeah, just don't overbuy. I mean, it's always good to save maybe your change and do that. Do some chores and you get, paid for it, but you have to earn your way. Nothing is a handout.
Nothing is handout. My 15-year-old is working at Chick-fil-A restaurant right now, part-time, only a few hours a week. My daughter was working quite a few hours, relatively speaking, at my in-laws' Chinese restaurant in Troy, Michigan, called Kim's Chinese Restaurant. And she
Mm-hmm.
got really good education there. Most important for me was the work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Her work ethic is phenomenal. She
Good.
really knows how to work hard. And that has been very positive for me as a parent to not have to think about it because she can handle those things. She's very smart as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think those are things which I think the sooner children learn about, the better off they are. Work ethic is one of the most important things. My
Absolutely.
son has been a little bit more of a goof off earlier. Now that when he has a responsibility, he's doing well in that area.
Okay.
So I'm happy to see the progress. He still has to grow up in some areas more than I think he has, done so far. But hey, we'll find out more about how that happens.
Well,
So,
boys take a little bit longer than girls, so
well, it's obvious. I'm learning that as well. So, Mary Beth, if somebody wants to get hold of you, do you want to share anything about what you do so that people have an interest in connecting with you?
I'm in social media. I have both personal and business pages. Best way to reach me is probably my email, which is marybeth at mamabearproductions.net. Um, but yeah, I'm always open to a conversation. And, um, the one last thing that I'd like to mention about parenting is that as our children grow, we are growing. We adapt to their age, right? To learn things. I've had aha moments in my life where I've like, wow, I was really good at that and give myself a pat on the back. And other times it's like, okay, I need to grow from that. I need to learn from that. Um, so not to be too harsh on ourselves, to give ourselves grace and yeah, just stick to our values and don't be swayed by man and always give it up to God.
Totally, totally. And you are very committed to helping people in their health, correct?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And that's the one thing is that if we're healthy physically, we're going to be healthy mentally, right? And that's going to enable us to be a better parent, but first and foremost, a better person. So
Totally, totally. Well, very well. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to share. I learned a few things for myself, so that was helpful for me. And I'm looking forward to, uh, obviously continuing our conversations in the future. And, keep up the good work that you're doing as a parent, as a business owner, as a person in the community. So thank you for being here today.
thank you, Minesh.